All right. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, March 26th, 2026. This is episode 7 of the Building Hour. Today, we're going to be reviewing a base called the Slug by a builder named Kobe. I'm going to link the base and the video that it's built in the description of the YouTube video when this releases on YouTube. But for now, I've got the base loaded up on a build server. This is not my normal build server because they built it on a different server. This is Rusticated, so I'm going to make some mistakes with how I click. I've never used this build server before, but the base was just too good looking to not review the base. So I'm really excited about this base. Another thing I'm very excited about today. Check out my shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but for you MATLAB fans out there, I have a MATLAB shirt. So yeah, pretty cool, right? um, so yeah, we're going to be reviewing the Slug today. It is a solo duo trio base. Designed, or it's a solo duo trio based design, and from the outside it looks like it's right up my alley style of base. It's more focused toward online raid defense than some of my bases, but it also looks like it'll handle an offline raid pretty well. It's also a pretty affordable base. If we check the resource cost, which you can see up in the top right corner of the screen over here, the stone cost is 60k, metal 40k, and a fairly reasonable 400 HQM. And so this base will not put you in the poorhouse as a duo or trio. It's a bit much to play as a solo if you're on vanilla, but a very dedicated player would be able to handle it just fine. And so from the outside, I'm noticing a few things. So the base has two-sided symmetry, it looks like. We have two external TCs, which is plenty for a solo duo trio base, in my opinion. These look like they are a disconnectable external design, and it looks like, yes, they are disconnectable. If you break this twig, it will... Let's see, if I break that, yeah, you can see that this piece breaks. This is not actually a connection. These are not connected at all. And so now this tool cupboard doesn't upkeep the base, but more importantly, it doesn't spread the the building privilege all the way back to the base, which means that you can disconnect the externals from the main part of your base. So if the main tool cupboard ever gets broken, you can replace it. That's a really nice thing to have if you're able to work it into a base. It's not necessary if you have a duo or a trio and they can just hop on and they can break the tool cupboards and you can sit and place it. But if you're playing by yourself, or if you log on, you got offline rated or something and you need to replace it, this is a really, really good feature to have. So one thing about this is not a freehand design, which means it does rely on the garage door and having windows in order for this to be a secure external. If you don't have those, the most that this can ever be is a 2-rocket raid protection. And so if you don't get to the workbench level 2 when you log off on your first night, you will only have 4 rockets worth of grief protection, which is a little on the low side. The other bigger downside of a design like this is it only provides 4 rockets of protection against someone coming in and breaking it. So say I'm a raider, and I break through this door, and I break through this garage door. This is the garage door right here. So say I break these two things. I can now just break this twig myself, disconnect this external from the main part of the base, and now I've functionally, I've basically raided or eliminated the externals from the base. And so this design has its upsides and that it's disconnectable, but I would prefer, since we only have 2 of them, if we had 4 of them, I wouldn't care about that. But since we only have 2 of them, I really would want it to be more secure, especially before you hit tier 2, because I don't think hitting tier 2 on your first day of play is a given, especially in vanilla. It can happen, but if you're playing a competitive server and you are not say you have less than a few thousand hours in the game, you're going to have a hard time hitting tier 2 without buying it from other players. And to be able to buy the fragments from other players, the game has to progress a bit. People have to start getting a surplus of these fragments. And so this is a nice external. It's very simple to build. And if you had more of them, I think they're good. But in this case, I probably would use a different external design than this one. Now, looking at the compound, we can see that that they have what's called a nice shield wall, which means this inner ring of the compound is fully protected. Raiders can't get in, unlike a sea wall, which is where they have to... it's kind of like a half height, or you use like chain link instead, or furnaces to help protect. This is a shield wall, which means you could place a ping wall. People care about differentiating those two things, but you can place walls all the way around in the event of a raid. It looks like except for right there. That's not really that big of a downside. No one is really going to raid straight through this right here. Because, yeah, you're not going to shoot into the corner of this triangle. That's too risky, because rocket splash is a little bit weird when you shoot at, like, the peak or an apex of a corner like this. And so people are going to raid from either side. So I don't think it's that big of an issue that you can't put your ping wall right there. And so people call it a ping wall because if you put one up, rockets will just ping off of it. It's kind of a broken strategy right now. I think developers will eventually figure out a way to either remove that or something, because I don't think it's very fair. It's not a very fun mechanic. Basically, if you have it and somebody's online, you can make a raid infinitely expensive. You can pop a wall down, pop a wall down, pop a wall down. And raiders can't do a whole lot about it, and, you know, so it's a thing. But if you can put it into your base, you absolutely should, because why not take advantage of it? And so it's pretty cool that you can get this in such a tight base. I like how much utility they're able to get out of this compound. One thing I'm noticing that I don't like very much is that there's exposed HQM on the bottom, which tells me that this is probably the most efficient way to raid into the base. And yeah, it looks like we are one wall from this core. And so you definitely don't want to keep anything important down there. Technically, raiders do have to make their way into the shield wall, but a very dedicated offline raider can just do that by spending time. They don't even need to spend explosives. They can just ladder, med their way through, drain your turrets, and then come down here, 7C4, and they're in your core. And so, where was it? Was it this one? Oh no, it looks like I just went in through the optimal spot by accident. Wait, where did I go in? I swear it was just one wall. Maybe it is two walls, and I'm a little bit crazy. Was it right here? Ah, yes, it was right here. So, by accident, I found the one wall that is only a single wall to access the core. And so, that is something you have to keep in mind. When you're planning for raid cost, people go different routes. Sometimes they're like, here is the theoretical minimum. And so they find the shortest possible raid path, which in this case would be through this wall, one garage door, two garage door, window. That's the shortest. Now, unless they're rocket raiding, I mean, rocket raiding is likely, but if I see armored, I usually go C4. Although in this case, I would want to rocket. So in this case, it would be a 50-50 chance that they rocket through that side or rocket through this side. If they come in through this side, they're just going to break the twig bunker in here. So I guess even if they go this side, because this is windowed, this doesn't act as a second armored wall. It's only good for four rockets. And so basically, if raiders are rocketing, you're only one wall from either side to your core. And so this core is very not safe. Don't keep loot in the core of this space if you're using this space, or don't keep much loot. It's primarily just for the main TC. and which is generally okay. Now, something scary about this base I'm noticing is that for 4 rockets on each of the externals, you can disconnect them. And then for, let's see, it was over here, it is 16 or 15. Where was it? Right here. It's 15 rockets plus 3 is 6, so 21 plus 3, 4 if you use an armored, 5 if you use an armored door. So let's say 26 rockets to get there. So 8 plus 26 is 32 rockets. You only have 32 rockets of raid protection before somebody owns your entire base. So any roof bunkers you have, any windows, any embrasures, those can all get picked up. And so 32 rockets is a little on the low end for total raid cost. You could make a big difference just by changing the external module and looking for an 8 rocket external instead of a 4 rocket. That adds 8 right away. That gets us to 40. That's still a little low. Now with this footprint, you can't really do much about this unless you don't use this as a jump up. You have to put the jump up right here in the center, but I imagine that will kill the layout of the internal of the base. And so you have trade-offs. You can either have a better layout in the inside of the base, so you get more usable space, better online raid defense, and whatnot, or you have better, I guess, yeah, I'm flipping you guys all off today, or you get better offline raid defense. And so it's a trade-off you have to make. When I'm building on the 1x1, the 1x1 is one of my favorite footprints right now. When I'm building on it, I prefer to have 3 walls between the outside and my tool cupboard, but someone who's more of a PvP chatter, a one-day wipe player, this is the better thing for you. So I thought this compound was really cool. They've got these nice little bedrooms. I don't understand why they go with this half. I assume it is for stability, although I'm not certain. Yeah, it must be for stability. Yeah, that's for stability. Because if you connect this here, I bet that this doesn't disconnect if I break that. No, it still does. Interesting. Interesting. Does anyone in the chat know why they went with a half wall instead of just using that as a full loot spot? Anyhow, I'm going to keep going, and then if anyone answers, fantastic. If not, it'll be a mystery for me to do some research about in the future. Or before the next episode, I guess, and answer in the next video. But I really like this bedroom module because it's really simple. You can take this window off if you need to shoot, and you've got perfect visibility down the inside ring of your compound. But it's just nice and simple, protected by a turret. Here, these are really neat. I don't know what they're actually used for, but they seem really cool. Up here, let's see, we've got a retake back into it. I wonder, yeah, I wonder what the point is. Maybe you open this and throw grenades out? I don't know. This is really cool, but I have no idea what it's for. I'm loving that I'm seeing so many things that I have no idea why they're done. There must be a reason that they're being done, but I just don't know what that reason is. We have very standard retakes. Now, I just talked about this in Build Better Bases, episode 3, that I released this afternoon or this morning, depending what time zone you're in. But if you've got these small boxes, I would recommend putting sleeping bags, or as a viewer pointed out, if you go with a campfire, which is, depending on what you have a lot of, whether you have a lot of wood or cloth, this lets you just W key clip over it. Rather than here, I can't walk forward, I have to jump. And so it's nice if you want to like jiggle back and forth. Just think about where you're placing deployables like this, because this is a nice quality of life thing. If I put a sleeping bag here, you can see I can just walk forward and backwards, and I don't have to do the jumps. And so that just makes it nice. Single door, double door airlock, a classic. This is just your best entrance into the base. I think, and so they went with both here. I think these doors should both swing inwards. I go in depth about that in episode 3 of Build Better Bases, but the long story short is that when the door swings outwards, I have to wait for this door animation to finish before I can go in. I either stand backwards and then move in, or I hear and I hold, and see, sometimes it'll push you back, but if you do it, sometimes you can glitch through. But if you face it inwards, like this, I can enter as the door is opening, and that just reduces the time it takes to enter the gatehouse, which will save your life at some point. Cool, and I like that they only use 4 turrets to hold this compound. As a solo duo trio, it's unrealistic, I think, to throw 12 to 20 turrets in a base, so just using 4 for the compound is nice. Yeah, so now I'm gonna start going into the base. I think we're symmetrical on both sides, right? Yes, it looks like we are symmetrical entrances. Little drop box. Looks like a nice little mobility chute. Aha. So workbench level 3 is up here. So this tells me that this is the main living space, or main living is up high, which I think is good considering the core. This is neat. A little like central staircase. Oh, I really like this. I really like this. This is cool. I might steal that. I like a lot. So the thing I'm geeking out about here is the fact that they can get retakes or toe peaks in 3 directions out of the 4, and then the other one they have a door covering. So they're covering their entire roof from just this central module. And you know, you've got drop boxes here. You could put a bed, or I think it's a good idea to put a bed there. And so, oh, that's really cool. I like that. Let's see. It looks like, okay, from this mobility, they've got retakes into the shooting floor ring, which is awesome. This is the best place to put one of these retakes, because Raiders could go with the strategy of top downing or trying to break in through the side. Like, something I think could be done more by Raiders is to blow into the shooting floor right here first. Maybe not right there, but start blowing into the shooting floor, and taking over your base from the top where most of your defenses are. I know that does happen. I haven't tried it myself, but I know that is a strategy for online raids, rather than just pummeling down low. Maybe start up top. But yeah, so the reason that these are so important is if Raiders get access to your shooting floor, they control how you can defend your base, and so you lose a lot of your options of defense if they get control of that. So having these looking in on that is great. And the fact that these go all the way up, that's a one-way onto roof. This is an awesome base. This is probably the best base I've had the pleasure of reviewing for just in general. I really like this one. Yeah, so this is a one-way, which means I can shoot, but a Raider can only just barely see me on this one side if they're all the way back and crouched. And even then, it's hard to not clip anything else as you're making that shot. And so that's great. Awesome little bedroom up here with a locker. Good angles outside. It looks like it's not symmetrical, so you get this angle from this bedroom, but you don't get it on the same side because, of course, we need the mobility here. We've got reverse waterfalls, which are Oh, it looks like when you have it as a roof triangle like this, you can't go through it. But if you upgrade this to, say, Brutalist, it lets you come through. So that is really neat. If you, this is a little pay-to-win technique. So if I've got this skin, I can basically have it locked off as a bunker, and then as soon as I'm up here, switch it back to stone, and now it's a bunker, and nobody can get through this. So even if they break this ladder hatch, they can't get up through there. And so that's really freaking cool. This base is awesome. These bedrooms have visibility onto the roof. It's a nice tight roof. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 turrets watching it. These ones can get shot out fairly easily, but these ones up in here are going to be incredibly difficult for raiders to deal with. Let's see, it looks like they went with 2 more peek downs from up here that are nice. You can get a really tight angle, or you can back up a little bit. I like that. More Patrico angles. This is a great roof. Now what's interesting is this is a 1x1, and yet up here we have a 1x3, and so they went with a shell design, which is basically where the footprint of the core of the base doesn't match the footprint of the outside part of the base. And so you can see that here, that they've actually raised up, because they don't match, you get these peek downs like this. This is because it's a wall stacked, but you get these little gaps here that open up. And so, yeah, this is cool. I like this peak. This is a really good peak right here. And it's one of those where if I switch it to stone, that gets covered up. And so if you really wanted to, you could swap it back and forth. But you're going to want the Brutalist skin if you want that peak down. Looks like more Patrico peaks. This is another retake angle up onto roof. I think this is overkill. And so that's one thing I'm starting to get from this base, is it almost feels a little overkill on how many angles you have. I'm sure during an online raid, having so many angles is never an issue, but it does feel like there's more than you need to get the effective dose. Or rather, you can kill raiders in so many ways, and often in an online raid, you only have to kill them once or twice. And so I'm not sure all of them are necessary. I guess this is another thing I would be worried about. Oh, I guess not. It looks like that's actually a surprisingly secure path. So one of the ways I like to raid bases, a lot of meta bases, is I blow through the very first door, and then the first armored wall I see, because there's usually an armored wall, I just raid right into that, because it's one rocket, and then I get information, and a lot of people like to hide the shortest raid path to their TC behind the doorway, because usually they're able to honeycomb the sides, but to have an entrance to the base, they're limited in the number of walls that they can place, and so this becomes a weak spot on a lot of bases. But in this base, it is not. So you would just be better off raiding one of these 4 spots right here. If you can splash right there, you get access to a lot of the core. And so now I'm going to try and find my way down to the core through the entrance. Looks like we go in through here. We have an airlock. Ooh, wow, that just pushed me through the wall. That's not supposed to happen. So I don't love, it's probably because of that. So I think it's cool that this actually bunkers. It's not a proper bunker. I shouldn't call this a bunker right here. This is a blocker. It prevents me from coming in here, but I could just rocket stuff out through there. But I do actually appreciate that it's blocking me from entering from over there. This is really a little tight in here. But that's cool. This is actually pulling double duty. Usually, they only prevent you from going down. But this one's actually preventing me from going into this whole unit. And so I actually kind of like that. Normally I don't like airlocks on the inside of a base because I find them quite annoying. And if you're playing with multiple people trying to get in here, you're going to spend a lot of time getting frustrated trying to get through there. But in this scenario, I think it works pretty well. And then you break that twig, this opens up, and now you have access to this. One thing with a lot of bases made by very skilled players, this player is obviously a very skilled player and likes to play for online raids, moving through their bases is a nightmare. They're very good at all of the jumps. They're very good at knowing how to move. If you are a new player, bases like this will be very annoying unless you use some tricks like the sleeping bag to just make your life a little bit better. But there are a lot of awkward jumps in this base, and it is very, very cramped in the core. And so that's the second floor. Okay, so this is the third floor. I guess the one thing I'm not seeing is like a main loot bunker. And so I think that's one thing I would like to have, is I would like to have access to a bunker, and it doesn't look... Yeah, because these ends are both mobility. I'm not seeing bunkers anywhere. It's like the loot is spread very nicely. We've got loot over here, and then the loot, that's kind of stacked. So actually, raiding this stone right here, you would want this metal, because for 4 rockets, I bet I could get, depending how you lay your loot out, but I would imagine people put a lot of their good loot there. And so for 4 rockets, I can get a good amount of your loot. And so that's something I would be concerned about. Maybe they are using the core as a primary loot room. I don't love that idea, considering it's just one wall. I do think this is a base where you would want to move the TC up and put it up here. I think that would be really cool. Maybe not right there, that would just be one wall from the outside, but I think this would be a good candidate for a moved TC. Maybe on second floor? Maybe like right here? Ah, that's also one wall. This base is like one wall from the outside on every direction, and so I guess I've kind of gone through the whole base, so I'm just going to give my summary of it and start to wrap up, maybe get to your questions shortly. But overall, this is a really, really cool base. I just had a pleasure looking at it all. They put a lot of effort into a very, very nicely designed shooting floor and roof. They've got fantastic retakes. You know, it's really lovely designed. I like how they laid out the mobility in these triangles and kept it away from inside the center of the base. That's a problem with 1x1 footprints, is it can be really cheap to drop down. And something I am immediately stealing is this little, this triangle, or not triangle, this square with the stairs jump up with the, like, I don't know, it looks like a pillbox. Like, I am immediately borrowing that permanently. I like this. I just like how they get a lot of retakes into their base with their mobility. This is actually a very Spinky style mobility. I don't think, or I don't know if Spinky was the one who invented it, but he's the one who uses it the most. So when I see mobility like this, I think of Spinky. I think it's really cool how they used the roof to act as a bunker to prevent you from going through here. So anyone with the skin and the ability to upgrade on the fly is able to pass through, but other people cannot. I think this was probably a Brutalist peak when they originally designed it, and now, rather than redesigning the footprint, they just swapped it to this as some visibility. But this little guy right here isn't doing a whole ton for you, so I think there's an opportunity to turn this into a bunker. It might not work with the triangles. Yeah, it might. So I don't know. But I feel like this would be a nifty spot to work a bunker in, or maybe a loot room. And so overall, yeah, I think this is a fantastic online raid defense base. It's a little on the weak side for offline raid defenses, at least for my taste. But if raiders don't identify the optimal way to raid it, I could definitely see them wasting a whole ton of boom on this or getting very frustrated with it. But overall, I think it's a really fantastic base. You should definitely check out this builder on YouTube. His name is Kobe, and I'm going to link it in the description of the YouTube video when this goes up on YouTube. The Rusticated code is MK4P0U. So if you type in load MK4P0U, this will bring the base up on Rusticated. And it's really confusing if you're trying to find the Rusticated build server and you can't. That's because it's on their minigames server. So you have to look up Rusticated minigames and then go to the creative section, none of which is called build. And so it took me the longest time to try and find it. And so if you type this in, you can pull this base up. Otherwise, it is called the Slug on YouTube, and it is a solo duo trio base. And with that, I've talked about pretty much everything I wanted to talk about this base. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And we're just going to go on with the rest of the stream.